All right, y'all. So, Vlad Pooty Poot has stated that his mission in Ukraine with this quote-unquote special military operation, his mission, his primary goal, not to eradicate Ukrainians, by the thousands, right? Children, Russian soldiers. He doesn't mean for the Russian soldiers to rape 4-year-olds. He doesn't mean that. It's all accidental. What he really went in to Ukraine to do is to denazify the country. That's the thing, is because Putin hates Nazis. We all know that. He hates them. That motherfucker, he would spit on a Nazi. Right? If he saw them, he would spit on those motherfuckers. He hates Nazis. And so that's why RT, Russia Today, state media, had very famous neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes on to describe the real problems with the West and Russophobia. Right? Because Russia and Putin hates Nazis. They hate them so much that they're killing thousands of children over it. So let's see what neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes has to say.
Well, I think the rhetoric towards Russia since the beginning of this conflict, nothing more than Russophobia. And they talk about Russia, the regime, and the people in a way which is just plain prejudice and bigoted. They talk about Russians as though they're uncivilized, treat them like they're not human beings. And it's a little bit ironic because
I just want to say, just for reference, any person in the media who is attacking Russian citizens, pretty dumb. Now, the Russian regime, to use Nick Fuentes' own words, accidentally, I'm assuming he did not mean to use the word regime, but has jailed tens of thousands of people for going outside with empty signs, blank cardboard and poster board. People that have said, we don't like war. You will be thrown in jail for 10 years if you just don't like the concept of war in Russia. So the Russian citizens that are doing their best to protest against this government should not be condemned in any fashion. Right? And anyone in the Western press or anywhere, even in the Russian press, who are doing the same thing, who would go against Russian civilians is stupid. That said, let's continue.
Opposition to the special military operation in Ukraine is supposedly about so-called human rights, about democracy and dignity and all these things. But when you look at the rhetoric coming from NATO, the European Union, and the United States, you would actually think quite the opposite. Or you would think at least that maybe none of those things apply to the Russians themselves.
So, I mean, he's just saying a bunch of garbage, right? Just state Kremlin talking points. But why on earth would someone like Vladimir Putin state that his goal is to denazify Ukraine? And why on earth would they bring on someone who's a well-documented neo-Nazi to give that point? Like, Nick Fuentes being pro-Putin on his own channel, duh, makes sense, right? But Putin and the Kremlin leveraging that on RT makes no sense. I mean, if you're like, again, this guy, Nick Fuentes, is on tape praising Adolf Hitler, saying that his life mission is to secure, like, the fucking victory for his people or some shit. Like, the guy is an open, proud neo-Nazi. And Kremlin media is like, yeah, let's put this guy on to talk about how NATO is discriminating against Russians. Let's get the neo-Nazi guy who says Hitler, the only problem with Hitler was that he didn't, do more or whatever. Yeah, let's get that guy to talk about. I mean, you can tell, right, that this axis that's being developed, the, like, new axis of evil, like, I don't know if it was like this, right, in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, per se. I wasn't there, where it's like, none of it makes sense, and they're all just kind of like goofballs, and they're blatantly lying. I don't know, I wasn't around in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. I've only read books about it, right? But, like, I don't know, man. the new axis of evil that's being developed in this earth, on this planet, is way, way too incompetent for me to take it seriously. But yet, I mean, they're pretty serious. We're seeing all kinds of new developments happening in Ukraine. We have now satellite imagery showing a lot of Russian war crimes as they occur. We have evidence that Russian soldiers were raping 4-year-old boys. I don't even know, why or someone would even do that, right? And it's happening in many cities, Mariupol, Bucha, other places, that are being, just completely destroyed. Thousands and thousands and thousands of innocent civilians being murdered. And Putin's stated goal is to denazify the country. And yet, this is who he's allying with? Anyone who took the denazifying thing seriously, you gotta be pretty fucking stupid. Let's be honest. Anyone who,
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
If you buy the fucking denazification rhetoric, you are a goddamn fucking moron. But, honestly, as time goes on, if it's February 20 whatever, and you're he's going in to denazify the country. Oh, yeah. And if you're still parroting that stupid garbage, you are too dumb. You are literally in alliance with neo-Nazis. I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty easy to say, hey, the Azov Battalion, they're pretty fucking bad, but also they're 2% of Ukraine's National Guard. So the other 98% should be allowed to fight for freedom for their country from an imperial aggressor. You're allowed to say, yes, I don't like the 2% of the Ukrainian National Guard that are open neo-Nazis. By the way, they're almost all eradicated now. Russian media has literally openly stated that they destroyed the Azov Battalion's core, organization or whatever. That's what they said. So, mission accomplished. You denazified the country, leave, right? But they're not. Why? Because it's not about denazification. Putin is a fucking famous Nazi lover. Right? He talks about Nazis, historical Nazis. We're talking about 30s and 40s Nazis in kind ways all the time. So, let's be honest here. This whole alliance that Putin is building in the media between himself and other world leaders, dumb as fuck. Dumb as fuck. Anyone that buys this shit, stupid as a motherfucker. My God. Could you imagine? Oh, yes, I agree with Nick Fuentes on Putin. Once again.
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
Don't know what to tell you.